Hi there, Kimberly McAlinden for Knit 123, and I'm here